10 years of financial holocaust you have been putting most people through with your inane actions, along with partners of the United States Treasury Department, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan and whoever else you have some favored banking relationship with to manipulate markets far away from fair value per the actual, yet masked economic depression that's longer and deeper than the one we had in the 1930s. Yes, I am able to do the third grade math using a non-contrived inflation rate to see clearly the real GDP growth has been negative for many years. Just pile out massive debts to make things look good, play with the economic figures on top of that and you have the masses thinking these are boom times. How sad. You actually think most people are that dumb? Well, I suppose you are right on this, but wrong about all the actions you are doing in thinking you are stimulating the economy. But why, I ask, does a booming economy need so much stimulus? Can you answer that without lying? I didn't think so. Yes, most people are getting crushed from the regressive policies, including those ignorantly going long the stock market while being in the lower 90% of the population as the inflation they help create in the market comes and hits them in their backside as their increased cost of living dwarfs their nominal non-inflation adjusted gains. The rest, well, taking bank interest away, that normal thing that's been around for thousands of years whereby a person who is lending has some right to expect a return for the risk involved, but you took that away and the elderly are the class whom are getting the brunt of this along with some special cases of the non-elderly. You promote spending all one has, not saving a dime for anything. Where would that put people when encountering bad times? Yes, government would have to take care of them, or maybe not at all. Look at the record homeless problem. Oh, you don't see it from your affluent neighborhoods? How unfortunate. Where I am I have never seen so many homeless. They are seen living under bridges, living in dense woody areas, living in their cars, and no time have I ever seen so many school buses converted into homes on wheels. You are destroying this country and you can look straight into the cameras on TV pronouncing the great economy we have and as you continue doing more harm. Wake up, fools. The stock market was once a place where there was actual investment going on. When underpriced or normally priced one could go long and the companies would make use of the shareholder money to invest in technology, create more factories or more office jobs. But today, if not technically bankrupt like many corporations are today, some are just so flush with cash, there is no real investment going on. The corporations that are so full of cash are like some sort of sandbox where money goes in and more money comes out. Not a single extra item has to be sold. In fact, the corporations could have no earnings or a decrease in earnings and that money just keeps growing and growing. Sounds perverse, but that's the world you greatly created. Zombie corporations. Corporations that have no need for public money yet are publicly traded anyway for the big reaping of cash infusion via 401k accounts from the middle class. The executives are loving your regressive policies. You are making them like kings at the detriment of most everyone else. The wealthy are being coddled like never before. Now, when markets are overpriced as they generally were over the past 25 years, what does a person do? Well, at least up until 2009 one could always find the safe haven of CD accounts or otherwise decent bank interest. Short selling is always a tool that can be used as investing when markets are overpriced, either on a short or long-term basis. Now, with bank interest pretty much obliterated, one has the choice: go long an egregiously manipulated up market with huge downside risk with respect to historical norms of stock valuations, and one such commonly applied norm is the P/E ratio, which is around 12 to 13 in good years and 5 to 6 in the worst years. not 25 to 30 or 60 to 100 and beyond for small caps as we see today, or short sell the big fat ugly bubble. Trump's very words in 2016 before he flip-flopped to go against the American people. The logical choice is to short sell, being far on the correct side of fair value. But what have you forced to happen? You unjustly forced the diligent, the most wise investors to lose, while making certain all the ignorant people who overpay gain. And whenever the market begins to slip, as I mentioned some certain times in the past 10 years on my class action Fed site, you swoop in and swiftly manipulate it back up, and you won't stop there. You make it go higher and higher on no fundamental basis. It appears to be one big game for you, but some people are getting and deservedly killed from your corruption. The plunge protection team was set up to help markets from precipitously falling, not encountering little dips from a fanatically overpriced market, but simply to cease an abject crash, presumably and rationally based on a market being severely underpriced. What has been going on is you had the market falling 5% from a 2x overpriced status, pump it up 15% more. Another time it dips 5 to 10% from an extremely overpriced market. Your solution, pump it up 25% higher. This charade is getting tiresome. Look how nicely the market was falling in the direction of fair value in late 2018. Things were going fine. There weren't massive problems in the economy from it, and the market was coming down from a 4 to 8 times overpriced status to around a 3 to 6 times overpriced level, and yet you couldn't just let a little more air out of the big bubble, not even allow some volatility of some up and down days as would happen in any non-heavily one-sided manipulated market away from fair value, and allow the market to bounce around plus or minus 5% for a while before heading down more. And you could have simply stepped into, not make the downside so rough for the ignorant longs. But why you step in do not just temporarily save the ignorant longs where they could unload some of their shares to mitigate their risk. You had their backs way too much, awarding them such big gains despite their dumb gambling, and you had them expecting you to always come through. They hardly ever need to sell except to take some out to pump up home prices to cause harm to others. And so that day, December 26, 2018, should live in infamy, whereupon you engineered a one-day Dow over 1,000 points to occur. I suppose you guys felt so smug about being part of that without considering for a moment the many you forced to lose. And then, as was mentioning earlier, no allowance of any reasonable downside days. You made the market go up pretty much daily month after month from your actions. I wonder who gave you the notion that keep pumping up the market is good. The middle class obviously loses from the wider wealth divide you create in doing so. Yes, many in the middle class who go long are fooled by having their measly nominal gains, but that's not a good enough reason for you to do it. There are rightful short sellers. The middle class in general loses from the inflation in the market spreading into housing and elsewhere. I hope you don't believe the same propaganda that you dish out that rising home prices are good when in fact they are bad. Obviously it's better to pay less than pay more for a home. Your screwy notions of pushing inflation on people as some sort of impetus to keep money flowing and the wealthy grabbing more and more of that along the way is a policy that works against society.